You know that feeling when your bank account looks fine? Bills paid, a little money in savings, maybe even some investments ticking along in the background. And you think, I'm good, I'm stable. But here's the uncomfortable question. What if that feeling of stability is the most expensive illusion of your 20s? Not because you're broke, not because you're reckless, but because you've confused income with wealth and comfort with control. That's normal. Everyone does it. You get a decent job. Maybe you're clearing 60K, 80K, even six figures. You're not living wild. You're responsible-ish. You've got a 401K, maybe a bit in index funds. You don't feel stupid with money, so you relax. And that's where it quietly gets dangerous. Because financial instability is obvious. Debt collectors are obvious. Being flat broke is obvious. But false stability, that's subtle. It feels calm, safe, mature. And if you don't see through it early, it compounds in the wrong direction. By the end of this video, you're going to look at your stable life a little differently. Not anxious, just aware. 1. The income illusion. Let's start with something that sounds solid. I make good money. You probably do. In the US, Canada, Australia, the UK, clearing a decent salary in your 20s feels like you've cracked the code. In Switzerland or Norway? Even more so. You're thinking, I'm ahead, mate. I'm doing all right. But here's the quiet truth. Income is not stability. Income is rented. The moment you stop showing up, it stops showing up. And that's fine. That's how jobs work. But here's where the illusion creeps in. You start building your lifestyle around that income as if it's permanent. Better apartment, nicer car, upgraded holidays, subscriptions you don't even question anymore. Nothing crazy, just incremental. This is lifestyle inflation, and it doesn't feel reckless. It feels deserved. You tell yourself, I worked hard for this. Everyone at my level lives like this. It's not that deep. But pause for a second. If your lifestyle collapses the moment your income pauses, are you stable? Or are you just well paid? There's a difference. And this is where most people, especially ambitious 20-somethings, get it slightly wrong. Because income growth feels like progress. But if your expenses rise in perfect sync with your income, your net freedom stays flat. That's the first crack in the illusion. And it gets worse when you factor in something most people ignore. 2. Inflation is quietly eating your safety. You might have $10,000, maybe $25,000, maybe more. It feels safe sitting in your account, like a cushion, a moat. But inflation doesn't care about your comfort. Over the last few years, inflation in places like the US, UK, and parts of Europe has moved faster than most people's savings habits. Even when inflation cools, the price level rarely resets. Translation? Your stable savings are slowly losing purchasing power. Now, I'm not saying don't hold cash. You absolutely should have liquidity. Emergency funds matter. But here's the uncomfortable thought. If most of your financial confidence comes from cash sitting idle, you're standing on melting ice. Inflation is invisible. It doesn't send you notifications. It just quietly reduces what your money can do for you in the future. And here's where the illusion deepens. You see a 5-figure balance and feel secure. But real stability isn't about how much money you have. It's about how many assets you control. Assets that grow, assets that produce, assets that outpace inflation. Index funds, equity, ownership, productive investments. When your money starts working while you sleep, that's when stability shifts from psychological to structural. But most people in their 20s delay that shift because they feel stable already. And this is where it becomes personal. 3. The identity trap. Let's talk about something that doesn't show up on spreadsheets. Identity. You don't just spend money to live. You spend money to signal. To yourself, to others. You want to feel like you've made it a bit. So you upgrade the apartment because it feels adult. You finance the car because it feels successful. You wear the watch because it feels sharp. Nothing wrong with enjoying nice things at all. But here's the quiet question. Are you building wealth or are you buying the appearance of stability? This is the mid-video discomfort moment. Because if you're honest, some of your spending isn't about function. It's about reassurance. Reassuring yourself that you're not behind. That you belong in your city, in your industry, in your social circle, especially in high-income countries where normal is expensive. In parts of the US, UK, Australia, or Switzerland, normal looks like rent that eats 30–40% of income, a car payment, annual international travel, eating out multiple times a week. It's not extravagant. It's just standard. But standard doesn't equal sustainable. If your lifestyle requires continuous high performance just to maintain appearances, you're not stable. You're on a treadmill. And treadmills don't build freedom. They build fatigue. Now here's where this compounds. Version 4, time is the real stability metric. In your 20s, you don't lack money as much as you lack perspective. Time feels abundant. Retirement feels abstract. Wealth feels like a later problem. You think, I'll invest more when I make more. But here's the kicker. Time is the only asset you can't earn back. Compounding doesn't care about your intentions. It only responds to action. If you invest early, even modestly, you give your money decades to grow. If you delay, you force your future self to compensate with larger contributions, higher risk, or longer working years. False stability says, I'll start seriously later. Real stability says, I'm building systems now. Systems are boring, automatic investments, consistent contributions, low-cost diversified assets, long-term thinking. It's not flashy. It won't impress your mates at dinner. But here's the shift. When your investments start growing faster than your lifestyle, you're winning. When your net worth grows, even if you take a week off, you're stabilizing. When your assets could cover months, then years, of expenses without you working. That's real security, not vibes, not a nice salary, structural freedom. And this is where most people get it wrong. They optimize for income and lifestyle in their 20s. They delay optimizing for ownership. Then their 30s arrive faster than expected. Bigger responsibilities, higher fixed costs, less flexibility. And suddenly they feel stable, but trapped. That's the cost of the illusion. So what does real financial stability actually look like? It's quieter than you think. It's not about being ultra-frugal. It's not about never enjoying your money. It's not about obsessing over every latte. It's about alignment. Your income supports your lifestyle, but your assets support your future. Your spending reflects your values, not your insecurities. Your investments grow in the background, not when you get around to it. Real stability is when losing your job would be inconvenient, not catastrophic. Inflation is an obstacle, not a threat. Your identity isn't tied to what you display, but what you own. And ownership changes everything. Because ownership buys options. Options to pivot careers. Options to move countries. Options to take risks. Options to say no. And in Tier 1 economies, where incomes are high but costs are brutal, options are the real flex. Not the car, not the penthouse, not the curated Instagram life, just quiet leverage. Here's the calm truth. You don't need to panic. You don't need to liquidate your lifestyle overnight and live like a monk in Berlin. But you do need to ask yourself, if my income paused tomorrow, what actually protects me? If inflation runs hot again, what grows with it? If I'm 35, will I thank my 25-year-old self? That's the lens shift. From am I comfortable to am I structurally secure? False stability feels good. Real stability feels boring at first. But over time, it feels powerful. Because when your assets compound, your stress compounds less. When your systems run, your anxiety quiets down. When your lifestyle grows slower than your net worth, you start bending the game in your favor. And that's where wealth actually begins. Not in income spikes, in disciplined asymmetry. So here's what I'd suggest. After this video, don't rush to tweak your budget. Instead, zoom out. Look at your life and ask, am I building real wealth or just maintaining an expensive illusion? If this hit a little too close to home, good. That awareness is leverage. And if you want to understand how your 20s quietly set the ceiling for your entire financial trajectory, how time, identity, and compounding lock in your future, watch my next video. Your 20s are setting your financial ceiling. It connects directly to what we just talked about. Because stability is step one. But trajectory? That's everything. I'll see you there.